What's good? What's good, beautiful people? This is your guy, Tone DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to chalk it to the game. Super grateful to be here with you guys as always. Make sure you guys smash that like button on your way in and on your way out if you got to go do something. I know a lot of you guys are probably working at the same time, one AirPod in, one AirPod out. I know a lot of y'all might be in school in the middle of class trying to squeeze your homework in before the professor come in and check it. I get it and I understand it. So make sure you guys smash that like button while you're doing the things you do. Maybe some of you guys are stay-at-home parents, taking care of the family. Appreciate all the things y'all do for y'all people as well. So again, make sure y'all smash that like button. If you guys are new to my content, make sure you're also subscribed to the channel as well. The love is always felt, and y'all know how we get down here at Chalk It Up Sports. We got so much to discuss. A lot of rule changes are coming in the NFL, and this Brian Flores case is starting to really expand itself, starting to take on a life of its own. Nick Sirianni spoke to the media today about Jalen Hurts, about building the team, the wide receiver core, justifying bringing back Derek Barnett. Just so much to discuss, and I got a few questions for you guys that I need to pick your brain about. For the simple fact that this is going to be one of the most pivotal off seasons in Philadelphia Eagles history, and we just need to make sure that we're all ready and willing to accept the outcome, be it good or bad. So let's get into my first topic of the day. Now, as we all know, Brian Flores is essentially suing a handful of teams and the NFL for discriminatory hiring practices, right? Now, the NFL is requiring teams to hire, and this is all amendments to the Rooney Rule. I think that was enacted in 2003 or something like that. But the NFL is requiring teams to hire women or minorities as coaches in the 2022 season and beyond. Now, I was reading an article from NPR written by Ayana Archie. The article came out this morning at 5:53 a.m. and the article reads as such: the National Football League set forth new diversity and inclusion efforts for the 2022 season at its annual owners meeting, such as requiring its 32 teams to employ a female or a member of an ethnic or racial minority as an offensive assistant, the league said in the statement. Candidates must have at least 3 years of collegiate or professional experience in coaching football. Those people will receive a 1-year contract with the salary and benefits. So also, for the roles, the NFL will reimburse teams up to $200,000 in 2022 and $205,000 in 2023 from a league fund for coaches. So basically, the NFL is forcing teams to essentially hire women and people of color, other minorities, essentially, in positions such as offensive positions and potentially coaching positions as well. And those teams are going to get reimbursed up to $205,000 for abiding by those new rules and regulations. Now, in recent years, head coaches have predominantly had offensive backgrounds. So the NFL believes this resolution will assist greatly in continuing to source and identify diverse candidates earlier in their career, providing pipeline depth, and further developing the diverse offensive pipeline. So here's something interesting, you guys. So it says, according to league data, the percentage of people of color in coaching positions increased from 35% in 2020 to 39% in 2021. Also, during that time, the number of minority general managers increased from 5 to 7%. The number of minority assistant general managers went from 3 to 6. And while the number of minority defensive coordinators went from 13 to 15. So they're trying to increase the amount of women and minorities in those offensive related roles. And this is interesting because this comes all on the heels of two more coaches saying they're going to join Brian Flores in his lawsuit against the NFL. So this seems to be a reactionary move for the NFL, if you ask me. It doesn't seem to be genuine, and I don't. This seems like affirmative action on steroids. Now, look, I'm all for seeing people like me get put in positions of power, offensive positions. I'm all for that because at the end of the day, there's much more. There's plenty of people who look like me who have just as much football acumen as people who don't look like me. There's plenty of women out there who love the game of football, right? That may have more football knowledge than some of these guys, right? So we got to give those people at least an opportunity to get seen and get heard in those rooms. And again, the NFL was most definitely trying to get ahead of the Brian Flores situation because clearly, the NFL is being reactionary and they're trying to put in place some sort of legislation that will indicate that they're not the ones being discriminatory in the hiring practices. But this begs the question: Does the NFL's diversity, equality, and inclusion mandates further validate Brian Flores' claims of innocuous hiring practices? Because if the NFL didn't necessarily believe his lawsuit had any credence or validity, I don't think they would have altered their Rooney Rule practices, right? I just don't think they would have done that. But clearly, the fact that two more coaches are joining Brian Flores' lawsuit and things are starting to get a little hot for the NFL, there has to be some validity to Brian Flores' claims. There has to be. You know what I mean? But again, I don't like to get too political. The bottom line is Brian Flores' case is starting to add some more weight. Two more coaches. They haven't released the names of those coaches or who those coaches are really, or what teams they play for, or if they're in the NFL still or not in the NFL. I don't know if they're trying to remain anonymous. I'm not entirely sure. But the bottom line is Brian Flores' case is starting to add some weight to it, and the NFL essentially is responding by trying to implement some diversity, equality, inclusion mandates to their Rooney Rule. They're trying to make amendments to their Rooney Rule and trying to give more women, more minorities opportunities to get hired. So we're going to see how this pans out. We're going to see how much stock we can put into the NFL at this point. The NFL always seems to be reactionary. They never seem to be ahead of the curve when it comes to diversity or putting people who don't look like most of the people in positions of power that don't look like them. You know what I mean? So this is going to be very interesting to see. And the NFL, we're going to see how they come out in this Brian Flores case, because Brian Flores currently is coaching for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think he's a linebackers coach or something like that. And we're going to see how it pans out overall. But the NFL has put in some terms for these teams to hire women and minorities as coaches in 2022 and beyond that. So we'll see how things pan out. Now, I want to talk to you guys about the NFL league meetings that are going on currently. According to reports that have come out, the NFL has officially approved that both teams will be guaranteed an overtime possession in the postseason only. Now, this rule was proposed by the Philadelphia Eagles and it was proposed by the Indianapolis Colts. Now, we all saw in the past, especially in this previous year's playoffs, that some teams kind of, I don't want to say got burnt or got gypped, but there were moments where teams went into overtime and one of the teams were only able to touch the ball, and it was a highly competitive game. The most notable game is that Chiefs-Bills game where it was a shootout. And the Bills defense sort of folded and allowed the Chiefs to tie the game up and send the game into overtime. And then on top of that, the Chiefs won the toss and the Bills were not able to touch the ball at all. So that's something that a lot of people were up in arms about because the game was so competitive. They would have loved to see Josh Allen drive that in that field if he was able to do so with that team. But some people also say that, well, play better defense. So I think the NFL was trying to find a middle ground with the rule, and they wanted to try to maintain the competitive nature of these games, especially in higher stake moments. They wanted to take the game necessarily out of the hands of the officials or the rules, and more so put it in the hands of the players, right? So they sort of found a middle ground with this rule, and they said, look, we're not going to adjust the overtime rules during the regular season because games will never end. But when it comes to the playoffs, we want to make sure it's as competitive as it possibly can be. And we also want to make sure that teams have equal opportunity to win the game. So They proposed that both teams are guaranteed an overtime possession in the postseason only. And I'm not up in arms about the rule. I'm not ecstatic about the rule. I'm kind of indifferent because at the end of the day, it just provides more football, more opportunity for teams to win. And let's say if it's a shootout. Let's say if these teams are, going blow for blow, toe to toe, just like that Chiefs game and that Bills game, just it was a spectacular game, an instant NFL classic, an instant playoff classic, right? But I would have loved to have seen Josh Allen drive down that field if he would have been able to. But overall, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at the rule change at all. In addition, another rule change is coming to play. Now, we all know the Philadelphia Eagles lost some front office people before free agency and before the NFL draft, and that caused for the Philadelphia Eagles to kind of be out of sorts when it came to figuring out new roles for people, hiring and elevating people. They had a lot of people go on to different opportunities. And the Philadelphia Eagles essentially proposed that, there needs to be some sort of window of time or some sort of pre-designated time where you guys are able to move on to different opportunities because it's affecting how teams plan for the draft and free agency. And the Eagles definitely took a hit in that. Maybe it influenced the way we approach free agency. I don't know. But the Eagles essentially proposed that, there's a post-draft window where front office staff are able to pursue other career opportunities. And I actually don't mind that rule change because that can directly affect how you approach this coming draft. And on top of that, your staff who move on to different opportunities could potentially leak other information to other organizations about how your team is going to approach the draft. So it can definitely be a conflict of interest. It can definitely get a little messy. And I actually agree with the move. There's no way or no reason why you should be moving on to another opportunity right before the draft. I don't like that in any way. Wait till after the draft, then you move on to your new opportunity, and it'll be that way. So I'm not mad about that rule change at all either. Now, let's get into some things that are a little bit more interesting. We got into some legislation. We got into some rule changes with the NFL. That's the boring stuff. We got that out the way. Now, I really appreciate everyone who's in the live stream. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed as well. I really appreciate all the love of support. Like I said, I'm giving you guys Chalk It Up Sports daily at 1 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. Give you guys that constant fire. So Nick Sirianni at the league meetings, he had the opportunity to speak with the media. And, the media, they asked the necessary questions. They asked about Jalen Hurts. They asked about the NFL draft, the lack of moves in free agency. They asked about why they brought back Derek Barnett. What's the team's approach to building around Jalen Hurts? They asked all the $1 million questions. And if we're being completely honest, Nick Sirianni gave a lot of political answers. And that's kind of what we expect at this point. You can't really expect Nick Sirianni to provide you anything else. The draft has yet to come. And Nick Sirianni is always going to find a way to protect his players, right? And, tell me if y'all think I'm tripping. I feel like at some point you got to call a spade a spade. Like, I find it hard to justify bringing back a guy like Derek Barnett. And look, I'm always going to try to look on the bright side of things. But in my mind, in my clear-cut view, with these 4 eyes I'm looking through, I can't visualize why you would want to bring back a guy who clearly lacks discipline. And this is one of the funniest things I heard. This is how I knew Nick Sirianni was really jumping off a cliff for his players. They asked him, why bring back, Derek Barnett, in the nutshell. They asked him that. And this man said, well, we love what, and I'm paraphrasing, of course. He said, we love what Derek Barnett brings to the table. He brings us depth. He's a aggressive guy. He plays the game smart. He's a really smart player. And when he said that, all I could do was just laugh because when you have more career penalties than you have sacks, how smart are you? How effective are you? You're more of a liability than anything. So, look, he's going to continue to protect his players regardless of the circumstance. I respect the game. I respect the hustle. I respect his position. But, man, Derek Barnett is one of those guys. It's hard to justify how he's approached the game. It's hard to justify how he's approached his discipline. I just can't I just can't find myself justifying too much of it if I'm being completely honest with you. But you guys tell me what you think. Is Nick Sirianni right to continue to justify Derek Barnett's actions? Is he right to continue to justify having a guy on his roster who has 26 career penalties to 21 and a half career sacks? It's unacceptable in my eyes. But like I said, maybe I'm tripping. He's going to continue to protect his players. He has a job to do, and the last thing you want to do probably is to throw guys under the bus at this point in the season. At least you want to see if guys can improve. I get it. You never know. You never know. But they asked him about Jalen Hurts. They asked him about Jalen Hurts' improvement. What he believes Jalen Hurts can improve on. He didn't really give too many specifics, but he indicated that Jalen Hurts will be working with, or he is working with, some guys in the offseason in California, Southern California, I believe. No real specifics because the guys, right now, it's against, I guess, the collective bargaining agreement for the team to talk to these guys about anything football related because they're technically still in their offseason. You know, it is what it is. I think it's kind of annoying that you can't even talk football with these guys. I think that's a BS rule. But look, I don't make them. My job is just to fall in line, right? So Jalen Hurts. Nick Sirianni says they speak regularly. About what? Didn't really give too much detail, but pretty much indicated that he's always talking to Jalen about ways he can get better, ways he can improve. And that begs the question, how much can Jalen Hurts improve? He has a lot of pressure going on. He has a lot of pressure on him this offseason and going into the season. And how much can Nick Sirianni improve as a coach? What can we expect from Nick Sirianni as a head coach? And that's a question I have for you guys. What are your expectations for Nick Sirianni? Has Nick Sirianni earned our respect? Has he earned our trust? Now, for me, I believe Nick Sirianni needs to make it a point to have a balanced offensive attack. Because yes, we led the league in rushing this past season, and that was a hell of a stat, especially given the fact that we started running the ball at a much later date. I got to give credit where credit's due. We became the number one rushing team, right? But this team will only go as far as Jalen Hurts and Sirianni will take them. Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts have to take their approach to the game to another level. That's just my humble opinion. I believe Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts are not playing with house money. They got a lot riding on this coming season. Nick Sirianni has to continue to show that he's getting better as a head coach. Nick Sirianni has to continue to show that he has the trust, has the pulse of his peers. And that's always going to be something to worry about. That's always going to be something that we have to take in consideration. Nick Sirianni has to, become a better play caller. He has to improve with his situational play calling. And again, Nick Sirianni was able to bring this team to the playoffs, right? A 9-8. He was able to coach up this team to go 9-8, make it to the playoffs, and that's an achievement for a rookie head coach. He was the only rookie head coach to make it to the playoffs, and there's something to be said about that. And you can make an argument that he had the least amount of talent to work with on his roster compared to guys like Brandon Staley for the Los Angeles Chargers. Compared to guys like the new head coach for the Atlanta Falcons. You know what I mean? You can make an argument that Nick Sirianni had the least amount of talent to work with at the skill positions at the very least. But Nick Sirianni brought the team to 9-8. He's earned my respect in that regard. So that's the floor, in my opinion. Now, you're going to have up and down seasons. Those things happen. But for your first season that you make it to the playoffs, wild card team, I got to give credit where credit is due. This is the floor. We expect to make the playoffs every year with Nick Sirianni. You got to. It's his job to make sure this team is competitive through and through, no matter what the circumstances are. And then Jalen Hurts, he has to continue to be open to Nick Sirianni's coaching, and that's what I love about, and that's the thing I have faith in the most. I have the utmost faith in Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni's relationship, and they spoke on that many a times last season. Jalen Hurts likes to get coach hard. We saw that. I believe it was that Washington game where Jalen Hurts fumbled in the red zone. Nick Sirianni got right with him, put that put his behind to the fire, and Jalen Hurts responded. And that's the kind of coaching Jalen Hurts responds well to. Jalen Hurts is a coach's kid. His dad coached him all throughout high school. Um, he has a connection with Brian Johnson. I think Brian Johnson played for his dad. So Jalen Hurts, he has the pedigree, he has the mentality to be able to withstand harsh coaching. He has the mentality, he has the resiliency to be able to hold up against being held to the fire. Not many quarterbacks are capable of doing that. Not many quarterbacks have the mental fortitude to stand getting coached hard. You know what I mean? So I take that into consideration when I judge Jalen Hurts. I take that into consideration when I judge Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni is not afraid to hold his players accountable, especially mid-season. So I want to give Nick Sirianni the benefit of doubt when it comes to talking about his players in the offseason, right? He's not going to throw guys under the bus, but if they're mid-season and things are clearly not going well, I feel like he's not afraid to call guys out mid-game. I think there was a clip where I think Derek Barnett had a penalty, and Nick Sirianni straight up was like, "It's always him. I don't understand it." So mid game, we all know Nick Sirianni is a fiery guy. We all know Nick Sirianni is a passionate guy on the field. Off the field, he's passionate as well. He's very expressive, wears his heart on his sleeve, and I like that. I'll be honest, because I'm an emotional guy. I'm a passionate guy, and people tend to usually know how I feel about things when I feel it. Sometimes it's hard for me to really mask how I feel. Sometimes it's written all over my face. You know, I vividly remember a moment when I was in high school, and my teacher my teacher said something to me. I can't exactly remember what they said to me, but they were essentially trying to get me to do a task that wasn't necessarily my job, wasn't necessarily my role, and I had an issue with it because they walked right past the person whose responsibility it was, right? And I asked myself, why are you asking me to do this? Why? Especially when it's that person's responsibility that you designated. It's their responsibility to take care of this task that you requested. My job is this. My hands are essentially full. What's going on? And my teacher, didn't really give too many details, but they said, "Listen, I'm asking you to do this, and it's not a question at this point. It's a matter of when you're going to do it." And it bothered me, and it was written all over my face. And I'm a passionate person. I tend to express how I feel, and my teachers know, and my teachers all have always known that about me. I've never been one to mince words, but I had to ask myself. I had to mature. It took some time for me to mature and understand why they asked me to do it, and that was because there was a certain amount of trust that my teachers had in me that they didn't have in the next man, that they didn't have in the next student. And that's not to disparage, any other students. I'm not saying that I'm above anyone else, but we have to understand, like, we have to understand that, yeah, there's nothing wrong with being passionate, right? Nothing wrong with wearing your heart on your sleeve. But you also need to understand the trust people have in you. You need to welcome that. And you can't be afraid of the moment, regardless of how you may feel in certain situations. You got to rise up, and sometimes you got to grin and bear it. Tuck your ego, tuck your pride, and do what needs to be done. And so far, Nick Sirianni has shown he's capable of doing that. Remember, he came into the season trying to pass the ball at an all-time rate with Jalen Hurts, who was still developing. And Jalen Hurts didn't really respond well to being asked to do as much. Not saying he wasn't open to the task, but the results didn't pan out. So it took Nick Sirianni, I think, until about week 7, week 8, to really adjust his tactic, to adjust how he's approaching this game. And he kind of picked up on it in that Las Vegas Raiders game, but it was kind of all for naught. And then he really followed through with it fully in that Detroit game where we ran the ball heavily, and we became the number one rushing team by season's end. We ran all over the number one rushing defense in the New Orleans Saints. We ran over a top 10 defense in the Denver Broncos. You know what I'm saying? So Nick Sirianni tucked his ego, tucked his pride, and said, you know what? I have to do what's best for my team. You saw visually that he was frustrated with the lack of results earlier on, but he had to tuck that pride. He had to tuck that ego. And he said, you know what? I need to do what's in the best interest of this team if we're going to improve. If I'm going to maintain the locker room, if I'm going to maintain the respect of my peers and my players, I need to do what's best, regardless of what the front office may be asking me to do. We all know this front office wants Nick Sirianni to curate a high flying passing offense. We all know what Jeffrey Lurie wants. He wants a top 5 passing offense, and sometimes it's not going to be that way. Sometimes you have to call games based on the trends of the game, or based off of what your team does well. And the Philadelphia Eagles had the offensive line to dominate the running game. They had the running backs that were very physical and willing runners, and guys that were averaging 4+ yards per carry. So and then at that point you had to rely on that, especially if you're trying to win games. It's easier to get your players to do what you need them to do when you're winning. But when you're losing, you lose guys. Guys lose interest. Guys lose commitment. Guys lose trust in you. And that's the last thing you want to happen mid-season. So I definitely commend Nick Sirianni for actually maintaining his locker room when things did not seem all well at all. I think the Eagles were about 2-5 or 2-6 when they decided to turn things around, and then they were able to get that record above 500. Now, granted, the competition started to dwindle, but they had 2 quality opponents, in my opinion, after that, and that was the New Orleans Saints and the Buccaneers. I'm sorry, not Buccaneers. The Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos are a quality opponent, a quality defense. New Orleans, that's a quality defense. The Washington football team, that's a pretty quality defense. So they were able to sweep the Washington football team during the regular season, get quality wins against the Broncos and against the New Orleans Saints. They had momentary lapses against the Giants, but overall, Nick Sirianni should be commended for bringing his team and having his team rise up the way they did. And I have faith in Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts' relationship. I have faith in Jalen Hurts improving, but the question will always be, how much will he improve? We have to ask ourselves that question all the time. Will Jalen Hurts be able to improve to the level that we expect him to improve to? Will Jalen Hurts' style of play begin to develop? You feel what I'm saying? So it all remains to be seen. But what do you guys think? Do you guys have faith in Nick Sirianni's play calling going forward? Do you guys have faith in Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts' relationship? Make sure you guys are active in that chat. It really helps the conversation move forward. Most definitely. So we got guys like GA in the building. Shout out to GA, man. Much love to you. He says, love the work. I appreciate the love, my man. We got Bobby Philly fan in the building as well. Appreciate you, my guy. Welcome to the show. Make sure you guys are smashing that like button. Really helps the content grow. Really helps the content grow. But yeah, do we have faith in Jalen Hurts' development? Jalen Hurts has a style of play that can make one weary, especially for his long-term health. Now, Jalen Hurts is a pretty intelligent runner. He tends to slide and not take big hits, but he's taking more hits than the average quarterback because he's a runner. He doesn't get sacked that often, but he's taking the hits on the back end. And he already had an off-season surgery on the ankle, and that's something to be wary of. Can Jalen Hurts develop at the quarterback position enough where he's not solely relying on his ability to run the ball? He's going to always have that ability, but he's going to have to expand his toolbox at the quarterback position. That's something that has to happen. So that begs the question, can you win a championship with Hurts' style of play right now? The way he's playing right now, as we know it, not quite. But based off of the improvements we have yet to see, that's where things start to get a little bit interesting. Because Jalen Hurts, I have faith that he can improve as a quarterback. But can Jalen Hurts become more accurate? That's the biggest thing. Shout out to my man Eagles Realist. Like you said, another day, another dollar. Make sure you like the video, my man. Appreciate you. He says, Jalen Hurts has really not been the most accurate quarterback. He's completed 62% of his passes, barely 62% of his passes this past season. An improvement from his rookie year, most definitely. But I would love to see him in that 65, 66% completion range. I think that's realistic for him to get to. But his accuracy will be the determining factor in him improving at the quarterback position. It's going to be ball placement. It's going to be anticipation. It's going to be throwing that ball with enough velocity to fit into those tight windows. It's going to be throwing guys open. I really expect Jalen Hurts to get better, but how much? Like I said, his ability to run will always be a threat, and he has to have the passing ability to match that. Because if he doesn't, that's where things get a little hairy for him. I don't want him just bailing in the pocket because he gets a little nervous. You got to trust your O line. The Eagles have arguably the best O line in the NFL. They have a top 5 offensive line in the NFL that's not up for debate. I think we all know that. You got guys like Jordan Mailata to your left, Landon Dickerson, Jason Kelsey came back. Then you still got guys like Nate Herbig and Jack Driscoll and Lane Johnson and LaRaven Clark. You have depth there. Now, who's going to start at right guard? That's going to be interesting to see. I think most likely they're going to probably have Nate Herbig start at right guard, and Driscoll's going to be that rotational piece at right tackle for Lane Johnson if he needs to come in. You got LaRaven Clark as well. I think they still got guys like where's his name, Jack Anderson and Coyote Awasika and Brett Toth and Sewell Upetta, Andre Dillard. It's going to be real interesting to see how these guys pan out, most definitely. Because the Eagles have always been a top flight all line. Lucas Hallman, my man, what's going on? He said, "Sup, Tone, you're so close to 2K. Yeah, man, I'm real close. I need you guys' help. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys share the content and subscribe if you're new. I'm approaching the 2K mark as far as my subscribers count, and you guys have just been truly amazing along this journey. I really don't take it for granted. I try my hardest to give you guys regular content on a regular basis, and my goal is just to continue to grow this community. My goal is to continue to give you guys dope content, and I want you guys to continue to challenge me in the live chat. I want you guys to continue to drop fire takes, hot takes. You guys are the lifeblood of this content. You guys are the lifeblood of Chalk It Up Sports. So I need you guys to truly exercise that power, share the content, like the videos, and subscribe to the channel if you're new as well, especially if you like what you hear and like what you see. You know what I mean? So Bobby Murphy says, Sirianni said it Hurts is working out with a quarterback coach in Cali right now. Hopefully it's Jordan Palmer. I think Jordan Palmer, isn't that Carson Palmer's brother? Former NFL quarterback Carson Palmer played for the Bengals and the Cardinals. Correct me if I'm wrong. That is Carson Palmer's brother, right? I want you guys to let me know. I need you guys' help. Is that Carson Palmer's brother? But yeah, I have faith in Jalen Hurts. But here's the thing that worries me. I worry about Jalen Hurts because he doesn't have a plethora of talent to throw to. That's something that's going to come up. Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman, they claim to have Jalen Hurts' best interest at heart. They claim to believe in Jalen Hurts wholeheartedly. Okay, Eagles Realist says, yeah, it's his brother. Bobby Murphy, yeah, he agrees. Yep, he says he helped Josh Allen, Mahomes, and Watson improve. Okay, all right. Hey, listen, that's elite company. So if Jalen Hurts is working with that guy and he helped those guys improve, and we all know how greatly Josh Allen took his game to another level. We all know how Mahomes came into the league his second year, after sitting his first year behind Alex Smith. We all know how Sean Watson has came into the NFL, and he was completing 70% of his passes. We all saw that. So if Jalen Hurts can get with that guy, if he's working with that guy, and if he can elevate his effectiveness from the quarterback position, oh man, the sky is the limit for Jalen Hurts. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think Jalen Hurts has potential to be better than Donovan McNabb. I believe that. Donovan McNabb, he was a really talented guy, but Donovan McNabb wanted to win from the pocket. Jalen Hurts needs to take his game to another level. Now, Donovan McNabb, he never threw for 4,000 yards ever in the season, never at all. But teams were definitely running more back then. I'm pretty sure in this NFL he would definitely throw for over 4,000 yards easily. But I believe Jalen Hurts has potential to be better. He has more. He has a much more dynamic athletic toolkit. Um, but Donovan McNabb has a much stronger arm, a much better arm. That can't be debated. But Jalen Hurts, if he can continue to improve, who knows, man? He may surpass Donovan McNabb in the Eagles' lore. But we all know what Donovan McNabb did for us, brought us to multiple NFC championships, Super Bowl appearance. You know what I mean? So Jalen Hurts has a lot of pedigree, Eagles pedigree to live up to. The Eagles have never really been a quarterback circus. We've never had a quarterback carousel. That's never really been our thing. That's been something that's fairly new. We've always been the consummate location for stability when it comes to coaching, when it comes to the quarterback position, ownership, our GM. This team doesn't really experience too much turnover. So I want this team to still have that same uh, consistency, that same continuity going forward. I want Nick Sirianni to be the head coach here for the next 5 years. If he delivers a Super Bowl within that time, maybe the next 10 years, you never know. Um, and then Jalen Hurts, if he can show that he's franchise, he can be the quarterback here for the next 8 to 10 years if he can stay healthy. You know what I'm saying? So I really want the best for Jalen Hurts. I'm critical of him, and that's because I got a lot of love for him. I have a lot of respect for him. I'm going to always be critical because I got a lot of respect for him. You see, there's a difference between constructive criticism and destructive criticism. There's a stark difference between giving your opinion on how a guy can improve and hating. There's a difference between that. And I never wanted to ever be misconstrued that I'm hating on Jalen Hurts. I wanted to be understood that Jalen Hurts has a lot of room to grow, and I believe that he can actually do that. Now, how much he will grow will always remain to be seen because we haven't seen him play yet this upcoming season. But the pressure is on. He's in his third season as an NFL quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. He played 4 games as a rookie year. Started played 15 games this past season because he got hurt, and I expect him to play all 17 games this season. So it's a lot of pressure on that young man, and he's built for it. That's the thing about Jalen Hurts that I love. He's never really shied away from the pressure, never really shied away from the smoke. A lot of people want to give him hell for leaving Alabama to go to Oklahoma. But if we're being honest, if he stayed at Alabama, he probably wouldn't have got drafted because he fell out of favor, because he lost his job to Tua and guys like that. So we have to acknowledge the fact that he went to a situation where he knew he could maximize his abilities to give, so he can be on national television, so he can be seen, so he can elevate his draft stock. So if you want Jalen Hurts to improve, if you want the best out of Jalen Hurts, you got to surround him with the best. You got to surround him with some more weapons. Dallas Goedert and Devonta Smith are not enough. Miles Sanders is not enough. You know what I'm saying? He needs another wide receiver that can demand respect, that can demand attention, that takes some pressure off Devonta Smith. He's going to keep force feeding those guys. We need Quez Watkins to take his game to another level. I'll be honest, my expectations are low for Jalen Reagor. My expectations are very low for JJ Arcega-Whiteside. Greg Ward, he's always been middle of the pack, never been great, never been terrible. He's always been a reliable guy to throw the ball to. So my thing is, I need to know how you guys feel about this situation. Is Jalen Hurts' success fully contingent on getting Jalen Hurts some real weapons? Bobby Murphy says Hurts also needs more weapons around him. Reagor and JJ are awful. We need a true number 2. Watkins is more of a 3 to me. And I agree with you with that. Watkins put up number 3 type numbers last year, but he became the number 2 because Reagor wasn't producing. And also, we weren't really a pass-heavy offense. So, Devontae had just over 900 yards receiving. Quez had just over 600 yards receiving. Dallas Goedert had just over 800 yards receiving. Devontae dominated the team when it came to targets and receptions. So, we got to acknowledge all those things, and we can't keep force feeding Devontae. As much as I would love him to, touch the ball, we can't keep force feeding him. It has to be fluid. It has to make sense, right? So we need to go after guys like Devontae Parker. Word is he is officially on the trade block, so the Eagles need to make a move for that, right or wrong. And you got guys like AJ Green still waiting, Julio Jones still waiting to get a job, Jarvis Landry still waiting to get a job. I know a lot of those guys are probably waiting for the free agent market to play out some more. Probably wait until after the draft for other teams to get a little desperate and reach out to them. But Jalen Hurts, he's only going to be as good as the people around him. That's the reality. I don't know why Howie Roseman is expecting him to elevate these guys. I don't know if he's trying to see what Jalen Hurts can do with limited talent around him. I think he showed you that. And that's he can bring a team to the playoffs with limited talent around him. Now, how far he go into the playoffs is dependent on the talent you put around him. Jalen Hurts, yeah, he can maneuver and run you into the playoffs, yes. But he needs more talent so he can become better at throwing the football. That's just my humble opinion about it, though. And since we haven't made any moves in the offseason, bringing in any guys for Jalen Hurts, that begs the question: are we going to go wide receiver in the first round again? Are the Eagles going to go first? Are the Eagles going to go wide receiver in the first round, picking a guy like maybe a Lavier or Garrett Wilson or Treylon Burks? There's so much talent in this draft that the Eagles can't really afford to screw this up. And the sad part about it is Howie Roseman is not the best at drafting wide receiver. That makes me nervous. I want more talent, yes. But if Howie Roseman sucks at drafting wide receivers, why does he keep trying to do so? Why not bring in guys in free agency where they're proven products? It's hard to really miss then. You missed out on Tyreek Hill. You missed out on Allen Robinson. You missed out on Robert Woods. You know what I mean? You missed out on Christian Kirk, Devonta Adams. And look, I understand a lot of those guys were looking to get paid. Some of those guys you probably never had a chance to get. I acknowledge that. I don't want you guys to think I'm crazy thinking we had a chance some of these guys, but I'm just saying, there's some guys that he could have got. There's some moves he could have made to indicate his full trust in Jalen Hurts. So we'll see what happens. Bobby Murphy says I think they do, especially after the huge contracts these free agents and receivers got. Yeah, Devonta Adams, changed the game, with that new contract, and it really made it hard for teams like the Eagles to really try to bargain with some of these guys. So you can't really get mad too much. Christian Kirk, he demanded a big payday. I'm surprised he got what he got. He definitely went where the money was. Tyreek Hill definitely went where the money was. Devonta Adams, he went where Derek Carr was, but he definitely got his coin as well. Allen Robinson got his money. So, and then a lot of these guys are probably wondering, they may still be apprehensive about Jalen Hurts as a quarterback. Can he get us the ball? A lot of these wide receivers want to get 8+, 10+ targets a game. And if we're not throwing the ball that much, they're probably never going to get that on a regular basis. So, will this Eagles team be have a more balanced attack? Will we be able to develop our passing attack? Because we were ranked pretty low when it comes to passing offense. We were the number one rushing offense, so there's no doubt about that. We're a running back's dream. But when it comes to wide receivers, we might be their worst nightmare. A lot of these guys want to get targets. They want to elevate their stock. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to be hard to do that when you're the number one rushing offense and you're not passing the ball that well with a quarterback who's still developing as a passer. So it makes it really hard to convince these guys on the vision. Eagles Realist says we had a chance at every wide receiver except Adams and Hill. Absolutely, that I can get behind. We had a legit shot at every wide receiver except for Devonta Adams and Tyreek Hill. Those guys were never going to come to Philly, no matter how much we wanted them to. But we had a shot at guys like DJ Chark. We had a shot at Allen Robinson, Christian Kirk. But Christian Kirk went to the highest bidder, in my opinion, and he went to an other company because, look, I know Trevor Lawrence is supposed to be a generational talent at the quarterback position. I know the Jags are on the up, but the Jags haven't done anything to prove anything more than the Eagles are proving. So Christian Kirk definitely could have came to Philadelphia, but he went to where the money was. That's the bottom line. He went to where he would get the most money. And I ain't mad at it. You got to take care of your family. You got to maximize your market. And I'm not mad at it. So we'll see how that pans out for them. We all know Trevor Lawrence needed some legit weapons around him. I can't get mad at Christian Kirk for taking the bag. I'm never gonna get mad at another man for getting the check. Getting to the coin. I can't get mad at that. Bobby Murphy says it was a real shocker seeing Kirk get that 4-year, $84 million. I was like, damn, man, yeah, it was a big shocker. I'm not even gonna hold you. We got 9 people on the live stream. Make sure you guys smash that like button. I really appreciate all the support. I know you guys could be anywhere else in the world, and you're here with me, and I'm grateful for that. So continue to hit that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel as well for more content. I have a big interview coming out later on, I'm going to be live with Jeffrey Kerr from CBS Sports, NFL writer. So it's going to be a big thing for me, you guys. Make sure you guys lock in on that live stream at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to be interviewing Jeffrey Kerr. We're going to be talking about his journey in media. We're going to be talking about the Eagles off season, the NFL draft, how he sees Jalen Hurts. There's this content is coming out, in bunches for you guys. So make sure you guys are locked in, and I appreciate all the support. Ryan Rowe, what's going on, my man? Appreciate you for coming in on the live stream. We got about 15 more minutes left in the show. If you guys don't know, Chalk It Up Sports is coming at you daily, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Every single day, Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We're not missing a beat. We're going 7 days strong thus far. Last week, we went live all week at 1 p.m. And then this week, we're doing the same thing. And going forward, that's what I'm going to be giving you guys. 1 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, Chalk It Up Sports Daily with your boy, Tone DeShields II. You know how I'm rocking. You know how I'm carrying it. I'm taking care of y'all. I'm doing whatever I got to do. And I'm going to keep on feeding y'all. You feel me? It's all love over here. And make sure you guys continue to comment below in the live chat. Make sure you guys continue to drop down y'all fire takes. The hot takes is always appreciated. I'm really curious to see, what are your guys' expectations for this upcoming season? Because Howie Roseman is talking a good game, but we haven't seen the moves that really indicate that this team is really getting better on the offensive side of the ball. All his moves for the most part have been defensive related. I know we brought in Zach Pascal at the wide receiver position, but that's not a home run move to me. Zach Pascal is serviceable, I guess. He's not spectacular by any stretch of the imagination. He's never had a 1,000-yard season, never even had an 800-yard season. So how much can he really contribute in his Eagles team? I know from a physical standpoint, 6'2", 6'3", 220 pounds, that's something we needed at the wide receiver position. But how good are his hands? How effective is he in route running? Can he get separation? Can he catch those contested balls? You know what I'm saying? Like, those are the things I worry about, because the kind of wide receiver we need besides Devonta Smith and Quez Watkins is that chain mover, that possession wide receiver, the guy who's not afraid of getting physical, catching the football in the intermediate routes, running across the middle of the field. We need guys like that to take some pressure off Devonta Smith. We need a different wide receiver stylistically. We have Quez Watkins, the burner, the guy that can stretch the field for you. You got Devonta Smith, who has some speed, but in reality, he's more so that route runner, the guy who's going to get separation, the guy who's going to break you down with his footwork and his technique. He's a technician. But we need someone who's literally going to put pressure on defenses from a physical standpoint. A guy that's a physical mismatch no matter who you put on him. He's too fast for you. He's too strong for you. We need a guy like that. I'm looking at a guy like Drake London in this draft. I'm looking at a guy like Treylon Burks. Those guys are 6'3" and above, 6'2", 6'3" above, 220 pounds plus. We need guys that are physical specimens, guys that are going to punish DBs physically, guys that are going to punish linebackers physically and athletically. Bobby Murphy says Pascal is better than Rager or J-Jaw, but nothing special. Right. I think Pascal is better than J-Jaw. I think he's better than Rager. Like I said, my expectations are very low for Jalen Rager this season. I don't expect Jalen Rager to improve that much. But some people say it's not a talent issue; it's a mental issue. Well, listen, my man, get your mentals together. Let's call it what it is. Are you not 100% invested in football? Are you not 100% invested in this city? Have you mentally checked out? I don't know, but my man, like this season, it's all or nothing. I think he's entering his third season in the NFL, and J.J. Arcega-Whiteside is entering his fourth. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside is in the contract year, so y'all know we're not bringing him back. And Jalen Rager, he's still a first-round pick. I think he has that 4-year deal, that 5th-year option. I doubt the Eagles will pick up the 5th-year option, so we'll see how that stuff pans out. There's so much talent coming in at the wide receiver position these days, so Jalen Rager is just growing more and more expendable, and that's the part he needs to understand, that this is a guarantee, my man. You haven't shown anything that can really command you a job anywhere else. That's the sad part about it. It's not like he's just been middle of the pack or he's just been underwhelming and he can get a job elsewhere. He hasn't done anything to even earn a job anywhere else. Like, you're not just playing for your job here in Philadelphia. You're constantly trying out for other teams every time you touch the field. You're constantly trying to show your value to other teams in the event that your time in Philadelphia comes to an end. And that's the kind of thing, and that's the kind of way he has to approach the game. You can't approach it like everything is guaranteed. And that's pretty much what's been his situation, since he's been a Philadelphia Eagle. Because he's a first-round pick, Howie Roseman has been forcing him into the lineup, and I don't like that. It's all about production with me. I don't care where you was drafted. If you're not delivering, go take a seat. Go take a back seat. That's how I feel about it. Ryan Rose says Kyzir White will be producing enough talent. Will be producing enough. Kyzir White is I really like bringing Kyzir White, that linebacker. That's a pretty good move to me. And I know a lot of people want the Eagles to draft linebacker in this draft, especially in the first round. But based off the moves I'm seeing them make, I don't see it happening. Howie Roseman has never done it in the past. Based off the moves he's made thus far, I don't think he's going to do it now. You brought in Kyzir White at linebacker. Most likely he's going to play the weak side. He's a safety converted linebacker, so he can definitely drop back in coverage. He can force turnovers for you. He's a very physical guy, very athletic, can run sideline to sideline. May be a liability in stopping the run, as far as filling the gaps, because he's considered to be an undersized linebacker, but he's kind of that modern day linebacker, the guy that, is that safety converted linebacker that can drop back in coverage, that can play the zone, that can read the quarterback's eyes, that's athletic enough to keep up with these tight ends and slot wide receivers, you know what I mean? And then they brought in Haason Reddick, that's going to most likely play the strong side. And he's going to be that pass rusher. You're going to see him moving around all over the defense. You might see him line up on the edge. You might see him line up on the strong side on the linebacker. You might see him line up in middle linebacker, rush from the middle. You're going to see so many different ways that Haason Reddick and Kyzir White are being used. And then TJ Edwards in the middle, pretty much dictating where everyone needs to be. I expect TJ Edwards to definitely take his game to another level. He got a 2-year extension last year, so we'll see how TJ Edwards, ingratiates himself with these new linebackers. Haason Reddick is definitely going to be a starter. Kyzir White is definitely going to demand starting reps if he beats out Davion Taylor. Davion Taylor has a lot to prove, so it's going to be really interesting to see. I'm curious how Jonathan Gannon is going to run defense this year, because last year we allowed quarterbacks to have career games against us. Derek Carr had a career game against us. Tom Brady was completing 70% plus of his passes. You know what I'm saying? We were just allowing quarterbacks to just eat and just get too comfortable throwing that ball. And we need guys that are able to drive back in coverage and protect the middle of the field. That's where we got beat the most. We weren't getting beat with the deep ball. We weren't getting trashed, on explosive plays. Teams were just nickel and dominance time and time again in the middle of the field, and they knew we couldn't stop them. So, we'll see. This team has to improve in that regard. They have to. And in order for us to be better in pass protection or defending the pass, we have to get better at rushing the passer. We can't allow passers to have all this time just to, diagnose the field, because if your pass rush is there, then that's going to make it easier for your corners, make it easier for your DBs, the safeties. You know what I mean? Make it easier for your linebackers. They're not going to feel as much pressure to keep up with these guys for 4+ seconds. We need to force quarterbacks to have to get rid of that ball in 2 seconds or less. It's just that simple for me. It's just that simple for me. But we got about 5 to 7 minutes left in the show, you guys. Bobby Murphy says maybe Howie will go linebacker in the second round, Harris or Muma. Yeah, I like Christian Harris. Christian Harris would definitely be a good addition. I think Muma went to Wyoming, right? If I'm not mistaken. That'll be a pretty dope move as well. You see, if I'm being honest with myself, this draft is going to be interesting because I think we're going to end up trading one of those picks. If you ask me, I think we're going to trade one of those picks to get another first round pick for the 2023 NFL draft, and we're going to pick 2 guys in the first round. I think we're going to go edge rusher, and then we're going to probably either go corner or wide receiver, depending on who falls where and depending on value. So that's kind of how I see it. But you guys are truly amazing with being a part of this live chat, being a part of this community that I'm building. And I really appreciate you guys, for just sticking around, man. This is huge. It's huge. Bobby Murphy says our D-line went from 3rd in sacks in 2020 to 31st in 2021. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous, right? And I have to ask how much this coaching staff will improve, because I'm thinking about Tracy Rocker. Tracy Rocker was brought in last season, and he was brought in at the beginning of the season. And Tracy Rocker has to be responsible. It goes on his resume. This team went from being third in sacks to being 31st in sacks. That goes on your resume, Tracy Rocker. And I have a lot of respect for Tracy Rocker. You know, this team, the defensive line, they had to get used to each other. They had to get used to this new way of playing football, this new way of rushing the passer. You know, it was, you know, they were asked to do a lot of stunts. You know, they were asked to be a little bit more creative. They were asked to do a lot more. They were essentially asked to think a little bit harder than just rushing in a straight line. And I want to give them the benefit of the doubt when it comes to growing pains, but to go from third in sacks to 31st in a matter of a year, that's too drastic. And there has to be a problem with philosophy. There has to be a problem with the message resonating with the players. You know, are these guys not responding to Tracy Rocker, the D-line coach? You know, this is a huge year for Tracy Rocker because if he doesn't turn it around, there's a chance he may lose his job. If this team doesn't elevate themselves to being top 10 in sacks, then it's going to be a real problem for Tracy Rocker to get another NFL opportunity because I think he's coming from Clemson. I think he coached Clemson's D line or something like that. So Tracy Rocker definitely needs to improve. He needs to get more in tune with these guys. And look, another year with the same coaching staff can only help. Another year with the same players, you know, and then added in some spots, you know, some talent in certain spots, you can only get better. You can only respond better to the adversity. And, you know, there's a lot of pressure on this team this coming season. There's a lot of pressure on Nick Sirianni. There's a lot of pressure on Jonathan Gannon. There's a lot of pressure on Howie Roseman to nail this draft. There's a lot of pressure on, you know, this offensive line. You know, there's a lot of pressure on Jalen Hurts to come in and actually show that he's improved not only from an athletic standpoint at the quarterback position, but he's improved as a decision maker. He's improved as a thrower of the football. He's improved his accuracy, his ball placement. You know, he's improved in the area of throwing guys open. He's improved as far as diagnosing the defense. He's improved as far as his pre-snap reads. Those things have to be improved. And if he can show that, if it's a drastic improvement, and if he's working with these legit quarterback coaches in Southern Cal, like what's the guy you guys think? Carson Palmer's brother, I forget his name. Y'all said his name was I said it was Jordan Palmer. If he can show that he's improved by working with these guys like Jordan Palmer, if that's the case, then Jalen Hurts can write his own ticket. Because after this is his third, he's going into his third year, y'all. And at some point, the Eagles are going to have to decide: are they going to pay him or are they going to move on? And those are the kind of questions that we're thinking about now. And best believe Harry Roseman, those guys are thinking about it. But again, if you want this guy to really improve, if you want to give him the best possible chance of success, you can't just talk talking about we're going to take more risk. We're going to help Jalen. You haven't done that yet. Zach Pascal, that's not helping Jalen, in my opinion. It's just not. So we'll see how things pan out. We'll see if this team can get better. We'll see how much Jalen Hurts improves. But again, I want to thank you guys for tuning into the live stream. Make sure you guys hit that like button on the way out. Make sure you guys hit the like button on the way in if you guys are just popping in. If you guys are watching this live stream or watching this video after the fact, again, some of you guys are working. Some of you guys are probably dealing with the kids. Some of you guys are probably in school and class, can't really tune in right now. If you guys are watching this after the fact, it's all good. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you guys share the content. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel as well. I'm your humble host, Tone DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. One love, stay humble, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay hungry, y'all. And I'm out.